Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's video. Going to have a look at the weather next week to 10 days. In today's video, this will take us almost to the final week of August. We're going to around the 24th of August with this update, and that is nearing the late summer bank holiday weekend as well. And if you're interested in what weather may be doing for the late summer bank holiday weekend, then we will have the second update for that this evening. This update will stop just short of the bank holiday. So we've got a bit of a split between the GFS and the ECMWF models at the moment. The GFS wants to bring back high pressure and summer as we get through to the final stages of the month, but the ECMWF is a little bit wary of that, and it has more of an Atlantic influence. So I'll show you what's going on right now. We're going to start off with tonight though, because just creeping up on us, there is a chance of some heavy rain tripping into the southeast. So quite a wet day coming up for the north and west today, but there might be some thunder down in the southeast tonight. So this is the Stockton pressure chart from the GFS for 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, when we bring in a trough feature across the country. Now, we've got an area of rain here at midnight tonight through Scotland, northern down to Wales, and also stretched down into the southwest of England. But it's this cluster of blue down here that is quite interesting. That's looking like thunderstorms across central parts of France at midnight. And by 6 o'clock in the morning, you see that those storms are just clipping in to the very far southeast. So for the far southeast, East Anglia, southeast, and you might get woken up by some rumbles of thunder in the second half of the night. This is a little bit of a change on what GFS has been showing up to now, so it's possible these storms will just clip to the southeast across the Channel and northern parts of France, and they won't hit us. But the GFS has shifted these northwards just in the latest run. This is for 6 o'clock run, just updated, hot off the press. So it is possible that down in the southeast, second half of tonight, you might be woken up by some rumbles of thunder. Right, let's have a look at weather next week to 10 days, and we've got the height anomaly flowcharts here with the ECMWF on the top of the GFS, which I'll have a look at in a moment. On the bottom, 500 millibars, 8,000 feet, is an area in the absolute high pressure, low pressure, being moved around by a jet stream running above. And blue extrapolates to low pressure, orange and red extrapolates to high pressure. So what we see with the ECMWF is that we have got a ridge down to our south. As I said, these are mean flow charts for 7 to 10 days away, so this takes us just about to the final week of August. So we've got this ridge down to the south of us building, but we are actually still having an Atlantic influence here. We are bringing in westerlies, we bring the jet stream through the country a bit like that. And there's a small trough of low pressure still out to the northwest. That's trying to settle down, but it is still quite Atlantic influence. Whereas the GFS is much more extensive with this ridge. So you see that the area of above average heights is actually centred over the country and going to the north of us, and also going to the east of us as well, which keeps this trough penned in around Greenland, and we're doing something like that with jet stream. So we are placed on the warm side of a jet, and we're under a ridge. That's summer coming back for the closing days, kind of week to 10 days of August. We'll find the temperatures lifting up. There'll be a lot of dry and fine weather coming through with that as well. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. So at the moment, we're a bit cooler than average, and generally, although it's a little bit up and down, we are going to be staying a bit cooler than average for the coming weeks. So up to the weekend, it looks relatively cool. From the weekend, we're finding the temperature starting to lift up, and then we're going into a warmer phase. We're going into a phase of above average temperatures then, as we're heading into sort of the final week to 10 days of August, if the GFS model is right. Now, it's not a totally done deal, because there are some cold or cooler outliers here. So there are some members of the GFS ensembles that aren't lifting those temperatures up, but you see that the majority of the GFS ensembles are seeing a lift up in the temperatures for that final week to 10 days of August. In terms of precipitation, so we've got more rain to come over the next week. So up to the weekend, it's going to be cool, as we see there. It's going to be unsettled, as we see there for the next week. After that, we've got a definite drying trend appearing here, with those precipitation spikes just easing away really for the final week to 10 days. So not only is it seeing a little bit of a temperature of GFS ensembles, also seeing that things might start to turn drier as well. Quite a big change compared to what we've had since around the middle part, that stage of July. Temperature anomalies are coming out warmer than average, just about for the coming week. This going from the 14th to 22nd of August, a little bit on the warmer than average side. Well, it's not a big deviation, but a little bit on the milder than average side. And if the GFS is right, we can expect these to trend warmer over the coming days. Precipitation-wise, so many northern western parts of the country for the next week, 14th, 22nd of August, still coming out wetter than average, a little bit drier than average down in the south and southeast. Expect those, if the GFS is right, expect those to trend drier in the coming few days. So this is how the GFS is seeing things for Friday, and it's still unsettled then. Low pressure is out to the northwest Scotland. We're bringing in these cool and showery northwesterly winds, and these unsettled conditions continue into the start of the weekend as well, with low pressure off the east coast of Scotland. But by Sunday we're beginning to see a change. The high pressure from the Azores went so much a regular visitor through the early part of the summer, through June into the early part of July. Saw a lot of influence from the Azores high, then it pulled away from us around the middle and latter stages of July. We haven't really seen much of it since. The Azores high is beginning to push back towards us by the time we go through to Sunday, and that continues into the start of next week. The high pressure begins to intensify down across France particularly, and it is influencing the weather for England and Wales, so becoming dry and warm. Still a little bit on the unsettled side for Scotland and Northern Ireland through the early part of next week, with this little fly in the ointment. This area is low pressure just here. That will bring some showery conditions to the northwest, but for England and Wales, that high pressure is really taking over. By the time we get through to middle and latter stages of next week, it's just a large area of high pressure dominating the weather. So we're losing all the areas of low pressure that have been hanging around in the northwestern part of the country. They've all gone. This high pressure is intensifying as we run up to Bank Holiday weekend. This takes us just beyond day 10 to Friday, 25th of August. You see that high pressure is really in there, and that would be lifting temperatures at least to the mid-20s Celsius. Now, you would expect a lot of dry, fine, sunny and very warm weather with that. So the GFS is trying to shift us back to summer for the latter stages of August. But as I say, we saw it on the height anomaly. The east end is a lot cooler and more changeable. So this is how things are looking for Friday. When it is unsettled, both models are in agreement on that. That continues into the start of the weekend as well. Sunday tries to get that ridge into the south, but it's this area of low pressure, I think, that's causing the problems. The GFS is much weaker with this low pressure, has it further north. The ECMWF has the low pressure deeper and therefore more influential. So whilst the south does get a little bit more settled early next week, really we have more of an influence here early next week from low pressure. As we run up to day 10, well, you wouldn't say it's very unsettled, but it certainly isn't what we're seeing from the GFS. There is still an influence from low pressure even up to day 10, Thursday, 24th of August, to the northeast of Scotland. This ridge that the GFS wants to have extending not just across the UK but for much of Northern Europe is a lot weaker, and it's still generally out to the south and southwest of the country at day 10. Nevertheless, if you could run on a day or two, you will probably find this area of high pressure as we get into the Bank Holiday weekend starting to dominate weather. So it may be that the ECWF is going in the same direction as the GFS. It just takes a longer time to get there, if you see what I mean. It takes a longer time to break out of the unsettled weather, whereas the GFS wants to do it, for the south, wants to do it as early as around Sunday and Monday. But the ECNF is more delayed that. But if we could run on another day or so, we will probably find that high pressure sort of becoming more influential anyway. So I think they are both trending in the same direction, which is for the final week we may get summer back, but it takes the ECNF longer to get there. We're going to have to wait and see how this plays out. It could well be that the ECNF is right, but GFS looks a little bit too quick in getting this ridge back in, so I'll probably go more with the ECN, which implies that we will have some unsettled weather next week, although the trend is probably moving towards something warmer and drier for the final week or so of August. We shall wait and see, of course. This evening, we'll have the second update for the late summer bank holiday weekend. That will include the weather for the Leeds Reading Festival as well, so come back for that this evening. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.